House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is asking the House Appropriations Committee to not grant funding for the FBI's new headquarters unless it relocates to Huntsville, Alabama. The House Judiciary Committee writing this on Twitter. The benefits of moving the FBI headquarters to Huntsville, Alabama: 20 to 30 FBI divisions already have a presence there. The FBI already considers it a second headquarters, and there's already a runway for Christopher Wray's private jet. Joining me right now is Ohio Congressman Max Miller. He's the member of the House Agriculture, Science, Space, and Technology Committees. Congressman, let's talk about this. Is this a joke, or are you actually going to try to push the headquarters to Alabama?
I don't think it's an actual joke, and I think what Congressman Jordan is doing is the first step in the right direction. There is no doubt that there is a liberal bias within the Department of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, or the agency, I should say. We do not trust in this country and the American people, from what I have seen and the constituents that I listen to every single day when I go back home, that they believe we live in a two-tiered justice system, and I believe we all saw that come full circle when Hunter Biden got the sweetheart deal that he did at the end of the day.
You're going to be able to actually push that through, though. I mean, the FBI is expecting its money for the bigger headquarters, and they're making the case that, look, the FBI should be close to Washington, to prosecutors, to the Congress, as a normal piece of business.
Look, I completely agree with that, but we have to look for other solutions in order to break the liberal bias that is in Washington, D.C. Maria, I worked here in 4 years under the Trump administration and the Trump White House. I have been in the federal government as a political. I have seen the cesspool of what we have in a deep state and a two-tier justice system throughout our federal government. Yeah. I believe that this is a great idea that should be looked into and to possibly have happen. And look, you already put it down. Chris Wray already has a private landing strip at the secondary FBI headquarters. It's a perfect spot for him to land.
Well, what about the hearing today? What do you think we're going to learn? Because, you know, you've been getting stonewalled now for years by the FBI, the DOJ, all the way back to the Russia collusion story. You've been stonewalled. How are you actually going to affect change?
Well, what we are doing within the House of Representatives are holding these individuals accountable. At the end of the day, we know that Merrick Garland, the Attorney General over at the Department of Justice, is not going to enforce the law because the Democrat Party is not the party of law and order. Joe Biden says it all the time, that people need to be held to the rule of law. Well, that happens all the time unless your name is Hunter Biden or the last name Biden. But I believe that we're going to look at every avenue moving forward in order to make this happen. But we are exposing them. The American people can see this for what it is, and that is a double standard. And that's what we're doing here in the House.
Some of us, anyway. I mean, look, it still is very bifurcated out there. Some people don't even understand what's going on in terms of the weaponization. So the media is also an issue here because they're not communicating the Hunter Biden story. There are 0 minutes dedicated to that story on the mainstream media.
Well, look what they did during the last presidential election. They covered for Hunter Biden. The media holds all of the water for the Democrats. They are the biggest super PAC that the Democrats have, and that's the mainstream media. Look at the New York Post story when it came to Hunter Biden's laptop. Well, guess what? We all know that that laptop is as real as it gets, and the American people know it, and those pictures and everything that the Biden family has uncovered because of that laptop is extremely upsetting to the American people, and it needs to be elevated more, and that's why I'm glad you and I are having this conversation to help familiarize the American people with everything in the corruption that the Biden family's been up to.
Congressman, let me move on and ask you about the House Oversight Committee receiving a briefing tomorrow from the Secret Service on the cocaine found at the White House. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre still with no answers about this scandal. Watch this.
Into the cocaine at the White House, the Secret Service indicated if they're closer to.
I don't have any updates. As you know, as you just mentioned, Secret Service is under their purview. They're certainly investigating the situation. I just don't have anything updated. I would refer you to the Secret Service on that particular question.
What does your investigation show in terms of this illicit drugs found at the White House near the Situation Room?
Can you just believe how brazen that press secretary is, that she just brushes that off? No family, no friends, and no staffer should have the decency to bring illegal, illicit drugs into the White House, and that is what happened. I fundamentally believe that the Secret Service will come back with a thorough investigation and find out who this individual is. I honestly do believe that. The Secret Service is a great organization. I worked with them for 4 years when I was doing operations at the White House. I believe they're going to come back and tell us whose cocaine that they found within the White House, but it's extremely upsetting. And, you know, it's funny. Joe Biden said, I'm going to be the person who restores decency to the White House. The decency to the White House is finding cocaine on the West Wing floor. Decency to the White House is yelling at your staffers and berating them when you get angry because you're a little bit too old and you're literally losing your mind. These are the things that are very upsetting within our country that we need to face head on and that the American people should know.
Quite stunning, Congressman. It's all quite stunning. Thanks very much for being here.